So we also had some questions about the 12 empowerments. So yeah, but we'll start here with the two approaches to the use of the mind. So there are these two approaches that we all well, one approach we know very well. We use our mind in focusing focusing on our thoughts and emotions and sensations. In this teaching, we call those data. So all that we can describe, all our thoughts and emotions, sensations, we call them data. And in the first approach and how we use our mind, we have learned it's like habitual to focus on the descriptions of all that appears. And we describe them. And it's a focus on data. And the dynamic is that we seek happiness by working on ourselves to have more positive thoughts, happy emotions, or comfortable sensations, looking for the positive descriptions and just to feel good, obviously, finding a perfect partner, finding positive states. These are all examples. Each one has maybe their ones and the unique ones that they've focused on, making more money, doing good in the world, positive thinking. It doesn't mean that these are bad things or not to be enjoyed and looked for even, or even wished for. It's simply to look at how we are using our mind in terms of finding relief and well-being. As we all know, also in the realms of focusing on these things, you know, that they never somehow last. It can then feel like running in a hamster wheel because we never arrive at a place of lasting freedom and joy and feeling good. Or at least if we look at our thoughts and emotions, we can never keep the good ones in place. Just in terms of maybe it works for a minute or 10 minutes, but we try it all day, it can get more difficult. Keep the good ones in place. So, and in the second approach, and what we are focusing on here, and to the use of the mind, the focus is placed on the nature of mind, open intelligence. And so that's something about us. I'll go to this metaphor here. Something about us that is always stable and clear and permanent, reliable, basically. So open intelligence, it's what's looking right now out of our eyes, is always present. It's what's looking. And the crystal ball metaphor is used to show that the crystal ball is unaffected by whatever images appear. The nature of mind, open intelligence, we call it here, remains lucid and clear regardless of the data that arise within it. So when we look at the crystal ball, everything that appears within it, now it's a beautiful picture. It's unaffected by whatever appears, even if we see unpleasant or scary reflections in a crystal ball. Crystal ball is indestructible. And it's the same with our mind. We just not have known or gotten familiar with that quality of our own mind, the indestructible quality that is at ease no matter what occurs. And that's what is introduced here, that quality, open intelligence. And with it, it's a practice of short moments. Taking short moments is introduced so that we get to know that in a very uncontrived and natural way, because otherwise we make it into some kind of state, good, positive state, or something that we try to cultivate and try to achieve. And sometimes it feels almost too easy that it's right here and it's already present, and we acknowledge it by taking a short moment of open intelligence and repeat that again and again. Initially, we do that whenever we remember to do so. So That's the invitation here. And this all is the introduction to open intelligence, which is obviously part of being here on the meetups, but also part of the 12 empowerments to get to know how to practice short moments throughout the day. Here we go more into it. So the 12 empowerments, as we wanted to speak about that, 12-part training, community, and personal training. So, Jochen, do you want to start here?
Sure. Yeah, so the first three empowerments lay the foundation. You'll hear a lot about short moments and open intelligence. And we really see that the root cause of suffering is not what we have always thought it was. Like for me in my life, I thought the cause of suffering is that my girlfriend left me, that my parents got divorced, or that I didn't have enough money in the bank, or um, that my boss didn't like me or didn't give me enough responsibility or too much responsibility or the wrong responsibility. And in the first three empowerments, we really get to see with many examples and illustrations how really the root cause of suffering is that we didn't know the nature of mind. We only knew the images, the reflections of the crystal ball, and we did not know about the true nature of the crystal ball like mind. And with that, we learn this simple yet powerful practice that makes freedom from suffering our own direct experience. And that is really powerful to see um, more and more conclusively in our direct experience. And that's what we get to practice in the first three empowerments, and of course, throughout all of life, but especially the first three empowerments bring that so into our day-to-day experience with this immersion in texts and videos and teachings and questions that help us reflect on that. How with every short moment we take, in that moment there is freedom and from suffering. Um, it might just be a glimpse initially, like too short to even really notice that much. But the more we practice it, the more obvious it becomes. But it's powerful to see that in that moment of recognition, in the moment of introduction to the true nature of mind, there is this release from the stronghold of data, of descriptions. And then in those first three empowerments, we already begin. I know quite a few of you here already do practice this in your day to day, but for those who are not or who are maybe really new to the practice, we really apply this practice then moment to moment in daily life. Resting naturally as open intelligence for short moments during daily activities. We can take short moments of open intelligence while walking, talking, washing up, speaking, running, shopping, working. And, usually or often you might hear us introduce open intelligence by taking a moment where we stop thinking, which is really just to become even aware of awareness itself, of open intelligence. But then the more familiar we are with it, the less do we need to, in a way, stop doing what we're doing or aware of. It is just this subtle presence that becomes obvious. And then, when you're walking, going about, just a short moment, like the metaphors of nature can remind, for example, to just recognize the sky-like nature of mind, or when you're talking with somebody. I remember Katya and my conversations early on when we met the teaching, and every time I would get upset or, annoyed or even in humorous conversations, I would just like more and more often remember, I can relax. I can take a short moment of open intelligence and just it shifts so many of the patterns and of the conversations immediately. Yeah, so we can do this throughout all daily activities. When we rely on open intelligence rather than emphasizing our thoughts, emotions, we have a vaster view and experience the soothing energy and clarity of open intelligence. we do. Do you want to continue from here?
Right. So there's this choice that becomes more obvious that we can actually rely on open intelligence rather than emphasize data. So this is a choice we can make, and we make it basically in every moment. And initially it might feel like, oh, we have to remember, or it doesn't feel as natural because there's such a habit of emphasizing our data and trying to fix ourselves or fix others, or just simply fix the data or try to avoid them, and or we go into them. These are all ways of trying to feel better, and obviously that's a trained way of using our mind. And so this choice is something we test out in our own experience, because really we want to see it right there, and that needs to be convincing. And then we hear others. We can do that today too, to just hear each other's experience, which also supports relying on open intelligence. And because data, so all thoughts and emotions and experiences within open intelligence, can be likened to a breeze blowing through the air. The breeze and the air are inseparable. Both are air. When a breeze blows, it is the dynamic energy of air. When data stir, they are the dynamic energy of open intelligence. So these metaphors evoke the inseparability of all the data, all our thoughts and emotions, as the dynamic energy of open intelligence. Nothing to think about. Just simply take a short moment and allow these teachings to become more and more obvious in your own experience. The breeze blows, and we see that we can't separate out the breeze and the air. And that's the same. We have data one after the other. It's hard to get into good data, as we spoke, and then allowing all these data to be the dynamic energy of open intelligence in a short moment. There's more and more that ease of not needing to control the flow of everything that appears. Like the color blue is inseparable from the sky, data are inseparable from open intelligence. So we get to know that about ourselves, that we can take a short moment, rest naturally, and allow everything that appears to be as it is. Initially, it might feel like, oh, does that mean I don't do anything anymore? All of that will be addressed in the further empowerments. So this is like an introduction, just getting to know that sky-like open intelligence, that is spacious mind, that is always present, and how that can be a direct empowerment and fuel our actions is also part of the 12 empowerments and comes further in the later empowerments. So this lays the foundation to actually know open intelligence and understand the nature of all the data, what's looking right now, and experiencing whatever you're thinking right now, sensing in the body, seeing everything appears as this open intelligence that is within us. It's not something we have to get out from outside. It's not a state. It's not a certain specific description. And we can count on open intelligence in every moment. Just a short moment is, as it is, the expression and display of open intelligence's energy. And just even though open intelligence is innate, it's always present, nothing actually new. At the same time, we have to acknowledge it because it is gone unnoticed due to the focus on the descriptions. That has narrowed down our view on all the descriptions, while overlooking the basis and essence of everything. And okay, also in the 12 empowerments, there's this introduction to a support system, to the support system to gain confidence in open intelligence. So we spoke now primarily about the short moments of open intelligence. And then there are the four mainstays most of you have heard about, which all are symbolic to evoke open intelligence. So the first one here, the practice of short moments, repeat it many times. So we can do that wherever we are. And then there's a trainer who can share their experience, someone who's gone before and has experienced open intelligence and can share how to, how to rest, and can share their experience and the pitfalls and how we go into extremes, and in that share instructions to have support. And the third is the media, videos and text, like the 12 empowerments that evoke open intelligence. So we have the text and we read text, or we listen to the talks like many of you do. When you hear the talks, there's a natural short moment evoked. And when you read the text, that's the same. So all these four mainstays, and the fourth is here, the community. We were sharing the experience of open intelligence. All the four mainstays are like an algorithm, and together they evoke open intelligence, each one in their unique way, and together they are bringing the support fully alive into a recognition of open intelligence. Yeah. Jochen, if you'd like to go through empowerment 4 to 9.
So empowerments 4 to 9, you can consider this like an integration process, I guess, or empowerments for integration. So short moments, sometimes people ask, short moments is so simple. Why do we need something like 12 empowerments? And it is really simple, but it's not always easy. You may have noticed if you've been practicing for some time. In the email for today, we wrote a few examples. There might be times when we're just so taken aback, overwhelmed, stressed out, worried, anxious, whatever it might be, that we completely forget to even, like, we don't even think about short moments. Or we might remember short moments, but have no idea in that moment how to even access it. Or we don't want to practice because maybe we're in an argument and we want to be right instead of practice. So there are so many examples in day-to-day life, and then that are really obvious. And then there are the more subtle ones that, for example, we don't even know about certain beliefs and assumptions that are governing our decision making and our way of being with ourselves. And because we don't know, we never even looked at them or had a decision making platform to choose whether this is something we want to continue on building our life on. So we examine these, that's the first point there. We examine these belief systems and habitual patterns that have impacted all areas of our life. And some might be really obvious, and, certain ones may have been challenging and things we've been struggling with all our life. Other things were maybe pleasant things that we've been chasing, trying to keep in place. It could be all kinds of things around money, relationships, work, spiritual practices. It really goes into all aspects of life. And then we investigate how these beliefs, patterns, assumptions we've made, ways of being with ourselves and others. We investigate how all of those have played out in our relationships, including the relationship with ourselves and in our decision making. So it's a really practical look at at ourselves. It's not just, talking about short moments and open intelligence. It's in empowerments 4 to 9, we get very, like you could say, very real and very practical. And we look at our life and say, like, where in my life am I really struggling and distracted by my data? And then we integrate the powerful practice, key points, and practical suggestions from those empowerments to empower ourselves, find and recognize the way we use our mind that causes suffering. So we cut through that, we recognize it, and then because we recognize it, in the next time, in the next circumstance where these patterns get triggered, you could say, we recognize that this is what's happening, and then we have a choice. And based on that, we make the recognition of the nature of mind the new default setting for being in the world and for making decisions. So a practical example, or yeah, I can also go further down there. Face everything and avoid nothing. Face everything as it is, the beneficial energy of open intelligence that is entirely beneficial by nature, the freedom in immediate perception, and the complete perceptual openness in all experience. So, an example here for this might be that, relationships with people we love dearly, like our partner, children, parents, and how those many of the ways of being have been impacted by our beliefs, by things that happened in the past. And when these things come up and in empowerment for 4 to 9, we then look at this dynamic very practically and from a place of rest can make a much more informed decision. So we face everything as it is. It isn't about taking short moments and ignoring challenging relationships. It's facing everything as it is, and really from that place of beneficial energy of open intelligence, being in full relationship with ourselves, all the data within ourselves, and also with everyone and everything. And then we see the freedom in immediate perception. So there's nothing we need to be afraid of really any longer. So far in life, we've trained ourselves in relying on data naming in the divided world of subjects, objects, and worlds. Now we're training ourselves in the united view of open intelligence, one that's indivisible, powerful, and trustworthy, because it comes from the love, power, and unity of open intelligence. The same process is used as in our training in data naming: introduction, recognition, practice, listening, hearing, reading, and writing. So the empowerments use exactly the same tools and methods, you could say, that we've used in all other areas of learning. But instead of learning about reification, we learn about empowering open intelligence.
Okay, then empowerment 10 to 12. We make open intelligence obvious in all daily activities. So after going through the process, so to speak, of empowerment 1 through 9, there's empowerment that opens up further, really bringing the recognition of open intelligence and all the clarity we've gained by seeing all the dynamics of belief systems and basically data focus into daily life and seeing open intelligence more clearly, seeing everything that we are not fooled anymore by data, basically. And it's instinctive. It's instinctively obvious. So it's that is what I would say in my experience. What happens is becomes more instinctive and effortless. And yeah, so and then what also opens up in empowerments 10 to 12 is that actually open intelligence is naturally beneficial. So we get to know ourselves. I mean, the main relationship we open up is with ourselves and all our qualities and activities that are naturally beneficial. We might have not seen ourselves that way. That's the way it is. And all the belief systems have limit ourselves in how we view ourselves, have limit our gifts and strengths and talents to a really smaller place. And in open intelligence, there's something that opens up, and there's a limitlessness, and yeah, also in terms of our strengths, gifts, and talents, and how these are empowered and opened up, what we take ourselves to be. So also the idea of being a certain identity, certain characteristics, which is very limiting for someone who has certain, yeah, limitations in terms of illness or, yeah, data and general data. Then there's a new way of looking at ourselves and also feeling ourselves. So open intelligence is naturally beneficial, and that is all we are. And opening up to that opens up our strengths, gifts, and talents, and ability to do, the power to know, the power to do, without being so limited by subtle or obvious belief systems. So we further integrate the ease of being into all aspects of living, working, and relating. So it comes out in relating towards ourselves, others, and towards our strengths, gifts, and talents, meaning also our work and our passions. And we enjoy a lifestyle that's aligned with our true identity rather than having to hold together being someone that could be very effortful, and have increasing assurance in our innate basic goodness, which we subtly, but also in a very collective way, have thought we are fundamentally flawed, and something about us needs to be fixed. So that's also an instinctive and natural way of being, having confidence that that is not the case. There's basic goodness. So also self-love opens up in a really beautiful way. Just really the confidence in oneself. So these are all aspects that open up, not in a conceptual way, they're instinctive. So in open intelligence, degrading and diminishing aspects of data are cleared up, and very powerful energy is released, the powerful energy of beneficial qualities and activities. That's who we truly are. So we're not really cultivating it. It's just what effortlessly opens up, because that's who we are, and that's how we are meant to be. That's why it's more effortless. It's far more effortful to build up an identity and be someone and hold that in place. So it's a powerful journey, and it's fun. Yeah. Here come some slides about some practical aspects of the 12 empowerments. We can go there but I think we'll pause for it now here. I see the time as well. Great. Well, we'll open up right away to any kind of maybe spontaneous shares or questions about the 12 empowerments.
I just felt very moved when you said that, why would we do the 12 empowerments? And I just feel very passionate about them. Because of course we can take short moments and that's with us all the time. But it's also so incredibly clarifying to go through the 12 empowerments for everyday life, just as they're also called. I just loved to deep dive into recognizing open intelligence, and also just becoming very clear of the dynamics when I emphasize and believe in my own data streams. Just clearly seeing how, when I have something challenging, if it's a thought, emotion, a relationship, how I start to resent certain things, what it is I resent, and then how I start to avoid relationship. How am I doing that? Just seeing things very clearly, but then ultimately seeing that the avoidances that I'm not recognizing open intelligence. And just to go through this so clearly, to just like pop up every single data. And as it also said in this slide here, to no longer have that diminishing or degrading look at data, to actually see that what has once was been so afflictive, or where I've poured in resentment or avoided or indulged, suddenly seeing that every single data stream, as its essence is open intelligence, is also becomes so beautiful and so peaceful, and just such a wonderful way to live life when everything just naturally opens up, and there's like a great warmth coming in towards all these data that has been so avoided, or oh, I don't want to feel this, and suddenly it's like, wait a minute, I can feel it because now I know its true nature. So it's just like unpacking little gems. And so I just felt so grateful to have the 12 empowerments to support that unpacking and just unfolding of a life of amazement. And with such a great support system to be there on the way to do it as well. You're not alone. You have a trainer that you can touch in with, and that will always just confirm that recognition back, regardless of what you bring to the table, so to say. The trainer will never emphasize the data. They will always recognize open intelligence in what you bring up, and you as open intelligence. So yeah, I can't recommend it warmly enough. It's just a fantastic journey, and yeah, it just changes life. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Yes. And Sam, did you want to say something there? Ah, that's just that your mic was on, that's why I thought. Okay. Well, maybe we'll pause here for today. Is there a topic that you'd like to have for the next meetup? I will also meet tomorrow, actually, at 3 p.m. PT. That's nighttime for Europe, but midnight, to be specific. So a bit late. But any topics, let us know here now or via email. Otherwise, see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
You too.
Take care.